So, there was this guy known as Foreskin throughout his community. He was a grizzled man. Looked kind of like me, only shorter hair. Shaven face, except for this big mustache. This guy had really tough hands. He worked hard in the physical labor fields, factory work and everything else, worked with metal, worked with welding. Things of that sort. Good stature to him, muscular. Kind of like me, not quite as tall as me, but Foreskin did something bad. You see, he was single all his life, raised in a conservative household in Wisconsin. Parents would force him to go to church. Finally sent him to the public schools later on in high school, and that's where his decline began. He was introduced to strong drink, if you will, and a couple other things, okay? Now, he didn't do that stuff after high school, but it sort of set the precedence for him. He kind of wanted to be a bad boy, but always had that sort of struggle between being a bad boy and doing the good boy thing. All right, a couple girls rejected him throughout his time. Many years later, in his late 30s, he finds himself living in a little trailer near a wilderness in Wisconsin. Now, Foreskin was single, all right? He started eyeing the women, wondering why hasn't one come to him yet? Obviously, they don't come to you. You got to go to them, but he didn't really have that in his mind. He was hoping God would bring him a woman. Now, this is from his perspective, remember. He believed in God, or so he said he did anyway. His parents raised him in this. He would read his Bible off and on, falling into sin, so-called, but getting back up on the horse and not sinning then for a couple days or whatever. Okay. There was this special girl that he met through a singles group. Proxy through a church in his area. This vibrant woman in her early 30s, still single though. It's a bit strange. She was flirty, vibrant. She talked to Foreskin. Now, Foreskin would be nervous around women. Scared, shaky, uncertain of himself, etc. Wouldn't really dare look him in the eye. But this lady, being more of a social butterfly, was willing to talk to him. So at these small groups, these single adult groups, they'd go out, they'd go to the beach together, they'd go fishing together, they'd go canoeing together, they'd go meet at coffee shops and play cards, etc. Now, after Foreskin saw her at the beach in her little bikini, he began watering at the mouth. Okay? Now, this girl wasn't perfect. She had a little bit of stretch marks here and there, a little bit of flab here and there, but Foreskin liked that because it meant that there might be less competition for him. Okay, there might be less guys going for her if she's not like the hottest thing on the block. Granted, she looked pretty good. Nice hazel eyes, nice white, clean skin. This is all from his preferences, He liked girls like that. He liked the chicks who didn't go out in the sun, who stayed home all day, pale as a damn ghost, with those nice dark eyes and dark hair to contrast the skin. That's just how he liked it, okay? Probably because his mom looked like that. I don't know why he liked that. I'm just letting you guys know. Now, this girl talked to him and so forth, but he never quite made it with her. He'd keep going to these groups. One time, he even messaged her through email, which is how these groups would stay in touch. And she politely rejected him in his proposal to meet him for coffee. That might have been when Foreskin started sharpening his axe. I don't know. but he had something nasty planned. He put a hatchet just like this one in the trunk of his vehicle. He found out where this young woman lives. He would look her up. He never really quite knew her full name, but he ended up finding her on Facebook, found her job, where she lived, etc. He would park his car in her community a couple houses down on the side of the road, staring at her house in the middle of the night. He'd watch her little lights go on, little lights go off. Just imagine her while she's sleeping. Sometimes in the middle of the night, she'd turn a light on to go potty, I assume. Only to go turn it off again, and Foreskin would bask in these sights. One time, a young man showed up to her house, and Foreskin was watching. Some guy parked his Honda Civic in front of her house, got out. He's kind of thugged out a little bit, crooked hat, tattoos, big old Affliction shirt on him, baggy shorts. And he walked up to the door. Foreskin could only see the silhouette of this girl letting him in. They closed the door. Foreskin noticed that her bedroom light went on not too long after, which was in the upstairs of the house. So he could only imagine what these two were doing. It lasted about an hour and a half, and that boy ended up leaving. Foreskin imagined they were copulating. He followed this guy home. The guy lived in some rundown apartment complex. Went into his house after stopping at a liquor store and went in. And Foreskin took off. Somewhere in all this mess, this girl ended up missing. I presume Foreskin hunted her down. He hacked her to pieces with his hatchet. Slicing, dicing, chopping to no avail. Removed her limbs. He might have even licked her flesh. I don't know. I don't want to get into that stuff right now in this video. Necrophilia or whatever. But he buried this woman in his backyard. And her larger parts he bagged up in garbage bags, taped them up, chained boat anchors to them, and threw her off a damn bridge. Now, he'd keep an eye on this bridge where he threw this woman off. For days he'd drive by, making sure the cops didn't discover it, making sure it wasn't quarantined off or anything. And that's when he began his Uber career. He decided to get on Uber as a means of maybe meeting women. He could go pick them up late night from the bars. Maybe they would be drunk. And he could maybe woo them or swindle them or at least know where they live. He'd freak a couple out. He'd be driving them home, looking through his big mustache, asking them questions. They'd give him short, cold answers. Sometimes he'd stop talking, sometimes he wouldn't. There were one or two episodes where he went past the girl's house. And he got back up on the highway, probably thinking about taking her out to the woods. Only after she reminded him several times that he missed her house, he turned around and dropped her off again. And that was that. A couple of these girls reported him, and he got banned from Uber for being a freaking freak. That's when things got ugly. He kept tabs on a couple of these girls. Ended up capturing one, taking her over to his trailer. This guy dug a pit in his basement. All right. Now remember, he had one scalp at this point. That chick from his church. And there was a massive search going on for her. They never connected it to him. because she never even talked to him except for a couple times at the group. Nobody would have guessed that he was so obsessed with the stranger who just barely said hi to him. Maybe they should have checked the emails, but I don't know if they got to that. They got that far before what happened here happened. He ended up capturing 2 different women that he knew from the Uber services. He must have waited outside for them, stuck them up at gunpoint, got them in his car. I don't really know how he got them, but he knew where they lived, all right? He dropped them off for Uber back when he was still working for him before they kicked him off. He dug a pit under his trailer. You know how trailers are lifted a little bit? There's like a crawl space and there's dirt. He went under the crawl space and started digging a massive pit. I don't know how long this took him, but it was like a 20-foot pit. It was like a well under his house, all right? And he sidewalled it with cement. And he put some rings down there and chains so he could trap somebody if he wanted to. He trapped 2 women down there, fed them, lowered them down food, gave them a little potty, had them clean themselves up. I don't know what else he did. But he got caught. They started tracking him down. He drove by that site where he threw the chick off the bridge and he noticed cops were there. He knew he was screwed. He knew they'd find his DNA on her, or in her, rather. He knew his days were numbered. What he did was he went back to his trailer. He poured gasoline all over the place, just doused the place in gas. Okay? The 2 women, mind you, were still under it. Now, he would cover them up, like the dirt bottom. He'd put a big old plywood piece over it, and then he'd throw sand over it so you couldn't even see it. You know, you'd look under the trailer then, and you'd just see just flat dirt, right? So you couldn't really tell that he had like a dungeon under there. And mind you, it was up on cinder blocks, and then there was the main trailer, all right? And the main trailer is where he lit himself a flame in. These women were under him screaming. The house was just set ablaze in smoke. Now, they didn't get any of the flames down there. They were protected from that, but it did suck all the oxygen away. The foreskin burned himself alive in this damn trailer. Now, of course, the fire department comes, tries to put the damn thing out. The house is nothing but a frame at that point. It was way out in the boonies. Probably took them a couple hours to get there before after the fire started. The oxygen was sucked away. So those girls down in the well suffocated. One was completely naked. One was in her panties or something, whatever foreskin gave her. The fire department clears out the house, finds Foreskin's carcass. All right, looks like a sausage that was left on the grill too long. Black, peeling apart. He was gone. It wasn't until a week later where they discovered the women. Right? They were still excavating the house, trying to find evidence, this or that. They started wondering if he was the one contributed to the missing women, this and that. And sure enough, they were walking under the house, these investigators, and they could feel the hollowness of the ground where that pit was. They start peeling apart the pit, brush the sand off the plywood, pull the plywood to the side, and they get that disgusting smell of rotting flesh. It reeked of feces and urine. And they looked down there and they could see the corpses of these young women, pale as ghosts, eyes bulging out of their heads, a putrid smell coming up out of there. Just a mess all over the floor, all right? It was hideous. So these investigators pulled these women up and realized that they were the women that went missing. Now, the third one, they didn't discover that till later. It was way back on his property. He buried part of her body. And again, the other parts he threw under the bridge. Now, that girl he put in the bathtub with acid. So he got his prints and stuff off of her for the most part. I think he let her soak in there for a couple days before bagging her up and cutting her up. But nonetheless, that's what happened in this hideous story. They call him the Uber driver maniac, or the insane Uber driver of Wisconsin. Just sounds absolutely heinous. And what he did with this damn hatchet. This guy had a bunch of rage about him. I could just imagine him just with utter rage and hate, just slicing and beating the hell out of these bodies, even after they were dead, of these women who probably rejected him, probably made him feel bad about himself, probably looked at him like he was some freak, and I guess maybe they were right, huh? I don't know, you tell me. Is this nature, or is it nurture, or is he just a freak? What do you guys think? But that was his fate, and like I said, he looked like a damn hot dog on a grill when they found him in that fire. Maybe justice was served, I don't know. But more haunting tales coming on this channel, so like this video, subscribe to the page. This is my Haunting Tales channel, alright? It's a little different than the Bear channel. I'll see you all soon with more haunting tales from the Iceman.